Just period. Like, yes, you have flexibility on London, but like, who knows? You might not even need that. This is tough, man. This is tough.
Post the question to Joe because I love how he's suffering.
Some of these, welcome to our 2022 previews. Still in the North American region. This time we're looking at the London Spitfire. Londonius spitting of the fires. Season 1 champions. Okay, the team is really different from that. It has been for a while. London have brought back some pieces from last year. So they are obviously on a rebuilding phase. Looking at what were good last year, what can they build upon? Shaq Sparker, undoubtedly some of the stronger pieces from last year. Hardy, who was pretty good last year. And with that, they're going to bring a backbone, provide Admiral Poco to round out the rest of the team. Poco was actually quite an exciting signing. We'll get to the tank line in just a bit. One of the more exciting signings I actually didn't have that I have a lot of faith in that I really, really like is not even one of the players. It's the head coach, Christopher, who everyone in this panel knows reasonably well from the Philadelphia Fusion. So London Spitfire, I think with Christopher's backing, the fact that they're all moving to North America, things get exciting. I mean, this is a potentially exciting team for London fans because it's been a rough, how many years now? 2 years for London fans where it's just been a lot of sadness. I would even say that season 2 London was starting to go downhill already. So pretty much since season 1, it's not been great for London when you go from championship team to, bro, we're going to get a win this season, to now, I think, definitely in a positive move from there. So, all right. We'll figure out. Eric says it's not coming home. We'll figure out if it's coming home or in what capacity. I don't know if it's coming home, but we can at least start walking towards home and just see how far we get.
True.
And what do we even get to our street in the right suburb? Who knows? Sparker Shack's backbone. Let's start there. 2 returning players, 1 new player. What do we got?
Oh, I want to like this lineup so bad. I so want to like
it.
I knew,
I was looking at your camera and it's like, Joe's face was, I will have to hurt people I like, but I'm also trying to maintain some credibility with me here.
Yes.
So I'm feeling the same way, but come on, man. Like, okay,
so,
here. You want to hop some hopium? Yeah, I'm offering some hopium.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Hardy on loping.
Poco's going to play anyways.
Spark on loping. Finally a team house.
Yeah, it's
Christopher. And there it ends, my dude. That's it. They're already like, don't have a team house, bro. Like that shit is delayed. Like they're definitely like one of the teams that spends the least. They are like coming off a bad season where the adjustments really haven't been like, I mean, it's considerable, but like, is it like, are we side grading a little bit here and there, And it's like, I'm not sure, man. Like, then it's also not that they're getting off a great start, like with proper practice, and they can like really outsprint. Yeah. They're already like in the trenches trying to dig themselves out of it. It feels like from the outside. So, I don't know, man.
So you're putting them 13th after praising certain parts of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd go that low, but to stay within the realm of the DPS, because I do think this is the most valuable. I've said this in the past. This is the most important. It has been, and it only will continue to fold in on itself. I don't know anything about Backbone. I've asked people, and I'm going to be honest, they have not said incredibly glowing things, like fine, good, lower on lists. I don't trust him. I trust Christopher. I trust his coaching staff. I don't know if I can trust him to be within Okay.
If you trust Christopher, would you not then trust him by default?
In some aspects, yes. But I have, it's not that I've heard negative things. It's just like, he's fine. It's okay. And I don't think that's going to be good enough to compete at the very least, like the middle of the pack. And this is a role, when you look at Sparker and Shax, they kind of overlap in some ways. If you can get Sparker and Shax to play as your starting two, you're fucking golden. Both of those boys are fantastic. I think Shax is criminally underrated, and I think Sparker is probably adequately rated to use
Joe,
that term.
Joe,
I don't know about Backbone.
Come on, man. Check Sparker even at the best of times is not inspirational, bro. Look at everyone else's DPS.
Oh, I'm not even trying to reach in like the top 5. I'm looking at like Boston. I'm looking at like Titans, that kind of feel. I don't know that this DPS lineup, which is the line that I'm weighing the highest out of the 3, I don't know if that can compete there.
Bro, who has the worst DPS line? Say it right now.
I gotta look. Avril, go. I gotta look.
I was gonna say, like, even comparing them to Paris, it's like,
yeah, I like Paris a lot.
I kind of like Glistanaga more.
Yes, they fill like both roles. Just period. Like, yes, you have flexibility on London, but like, who knows? You might not even need that. Like, Naga's great. I think another criminally underrated player that had a fantastic season last season. I think Glister has a lot to prove. I don't think Shock treated him all that great. Bro, it's a stretch.
You're gonna have to compare with Florida because I think Aspire Shockwave's better. I don't know Psycho, but I know Aspire Shockwave. I think that's a higher rated line for me. Unless those two can't play projectile rank. So Psycho would have to
Shockwave can.
Shockwave can, yeah.
Can he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he look at it like treat yourself to his echo stats. It's actually nuts.
Yeah.
For how bad Titans were.
But does he do the other projectiles like Genji?
That I can't comment on. I'm assuming as much.
I think he can.
Junkrat.
I think he can. Genji. Not sure about Farah.
So he's got mostly hit scan plus a little bit of like he's got the Hanzo Echo there. Hanzo's basically hit scan now. Yeah, I like Aspire Shockwave, but they are lacking the majority of the projectiles a bit there. Aside from, I think you can only really compare London to Florida because every other DPS line is just kind of better.
In ways,
like they really are. That includes.
And that just leads to the discussion. Yes, agreed. Like that leads your discussion. If your DPS lineup is already like, I don't care how good Poco is. I quite like Provide and Admiral. I have a lot of glowing things to say about them. Everything considered, everything that we know thus far, that doesn't matter.
Are we saying bottom 2 DPS line then?
Yeah, probably. Sad to say.
It's hard because you have like
maybe globally.
We don't even know what Valiant looks like yet, bro. We
got 3 out of 4.
Globally.
I think that's enough. I think we got 3 out of 4. I don't care who their 4th player is at that point.
I think that's.
I mean, their fourth player, their 4th DPS could be Silver fucking 3 for all I care. It doesn't matter. Sure. He ain't playing. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
I would.
Holy shit. Maybe. I mean, DS Max.
DS Max. Agreed.
Innovation is reasonable. Becky could be okay. I don't know.
I think
you look at Charge as well. It's like you got unfortunately Champion develop. Choi fucking slaps. So
Eileen slaps. Like they slap. Like London, it comes down to Backbone. If Backbone can show up and can compete with the middle of the table, a lot of these questions go away for me at the very least. I can only speak from my opinion. I like their tanks. I like their supports. I look at this DPS lineup and it is like the most fine in a vacuum. And you look at them in a vacuum, you like what you see, you widen it out to the scope of the league, you're like, oh boy, I hope I got the shit in pants.
Yes, there's a lot of pain this season. I guess there's one thing which we could say is like, what do you think about Defiant considering the Aldo situation?
Sure, yeah.
I think that's temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how temporary? You know?
I don't know. What didn't they give like an estimate of like the late summer or early summer? Like June-ish?
That's fine.
Am I
That's
wrong?
fine. Finale Jesus
should be all right.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Okay.
No issues with Hisu finale. That's fine with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm just like legitimately trying to cut pieces out of myself in order to come up with DPS lines that I fairly, despite like liking this team, could put below them, and it's really hard.
I'll give you this. Here's a line that London can kind of like hopium, sniff, smoke, boof. I don't know what you need to do. If there's a flex tank, if we start on a flex tank meta and this team starts off well, if Backbone's like a secure middle of the pack like flex DPS, and Poco can like diff people on the soul tank role, which she possibly could, depending on the hero that we decide is meta. London could be good. I don't see them like being good longevity wise.
Let's break down the rest of the roster before we get into overall roster. You mentioned Poco already, so we might as well get into the tanks now.
I'm not sure about
Poco Hardy. Hardy was reasonable last year. Probably doesn't help that he was on high ping.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's legitimately just like a game-changing situation for any main king. I'm pretty sure.
He's
agreed.
Probably one of the most accomplished tier 2 players prior to coming into London. I mean, those British Hurricane guys just kind of slapped in there, so kind of hard to poke holes there.
Yep.
Poco didn't play last year, though. I mean, that's raises some questions. Although he got screwed over from travel visa, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Poco, you kind of have to talk about him from a historical context of like not 2021 but 2020.
Yeah,
which he was good.
Yep. I think he's like a good flex tank. Like above average, I'd say. Is the year off? Like, obviously he was probably still playing. I don't know if he was scrimming, to be completely honest. I don't know.
Who do they beat? I mean, what do you guys think about this tank line? And then who does this tank line beat? Let's get started.
This is tough, man. This is tough.
Post the question to Joe because I love how he's suffering.
Some of these teams only have one tank. I mean,
true. Yeah, they don't beat Atlanta.
I think they beat Vancouver.
Yeah, I can agree.
Because it's false alone. Yeah. I suppose.
They don't beat Justice.
No.
I mean, I've been a big Hotba hater, but I actually quite like Muse, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think they maybe could be at best the competitive with Toronto, and I'm looking at their tank line in specific. Shock, TBD, Paris, maybe. Definitely not New York. Definitely not Glads. Outlaws, maybe. I think that's a TBD though as well. I don't think it's just going to be Piggy. It's definitely not Fuel. Like, there's not too many.
No, it's not.
There's not too many boys. It's not coming home.
Just talk about
I think they could be competitive. I like Adam. Like, I think there's a lot there. I like someone. I think Hadi, like, while I think the ping was rough for him, and while I think that, harping on like a season where he could like physically couldn't play for Poco is unfair. I'll give you like a competitive mayhem like tank lineup. Like they could battle each other and be all right. Like, but that already like starts to feel pretty gross. It just doesn't.
So they're not
like it.
They're definitely not top half.
No,
they're definitely bottom half.
Yeah, for sure.
The problem is, I think you'd have to start. You can almost look at the entire team and be like, everybody would be probably bottom half. Already didn't get off to a great discussion on the DPS.
Yeah.
Tank is only marginally better. Did you guys talk about the tanks yet?
I mean,
he's pointing and laughing at me.
It's no, like it's false, and then I think everyone else I trust more. Like Kolush, I think does probably more solid with Coach 9K backup. Fair enough. Christopher also being a tank coach, of course, or tank player previously.
Yeah.
It's not like the situation is just like set up well. No, like
problem is even against Kaluge, like you can look at it in vacuum, but then you have to consider like then he's got Finn and Proper on his team. It's
you can diff in other places.
Even if Poco was better than Kaluge, Proper and Finn are just gonna have a walk in the park, aren't they? So.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're not gaining ground with this tank line on the rest of the league, I think.
I mean, am I crazy? I think Dan and Vistola are even better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, at the least competitive, right? At the very least, you can probably put them in the same tier. Anywhere else, like their ceilings are just higher.
Even they're next to each other. Even if it's like I don't know, 12 and 11, that's still one, just one above.
Just one
above.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It sucks.
Fuck, it's hard. I'm trying to find Like, I think they're good, but the problem is, like, in a vacuum, you look at the London roster in a vacuum, like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to compare it to everybody else. You're like, fuck.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
I'm
And
just...
there are probably worlds where like they're competitive in the season, like they're battling. Let's say we start in the kickoff clash, right? And they're trading, and they have like an even, end of stage. I just don't see how this team does well over the course of the season. Period. I think they're going to have moments where they look, oh shit, is this where London turns it around? And no. And that's not any fault of their own. That's not any fault of the players or the coaches.
I got a more like macro question after this that I want to bring to the table, but
Sure.
after we cover the supports, because it has to do with the whole team.
Yeah.
But first, I want to cover the supports. Provide Admiral. Now, Joe, you were feeling much better about. I think this was your favorite part of the team.
Yes.
And Joe,
I would say this is my favorite line.
I'm gonna tell you now. In order to get your 6 to 8 bullshit off, you gotta really fillet the spec line now.
It's not. It can't be 6 to 8. It just can't. I think Prophet and Admiral do quite well against the likes of the Mayhem, just comparatively, right? I think they can compete with the Titans. I think they can compete easily with Paris. Well, I shouldn't say easily. I quite like Khan and Drijo. I think Houston they probably could compete with, because we don't really know what their main support situation is going to be.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they can be like competitive in like the bracket that you already want to put them in, but like physically can't, looking at every name compared to everybody else. Like this is like the glowing source of hope in an already like dreary support Overwatch 2 like prologue to a book, right? Like when you come into a book, you're like, oh shit, like this is gonna be sick. Fuck, supports are bad and like they're getting abused, and like we have the support line that's I hope that gets buffs. Like you want them to be able to make plays. You want them to be able to like be the spearhead of the team to solve any problems that Backbone has, or to like cover Poco as he tries to be, maybe he's the playmaker. This is the best lineup period that this team has. What else is there really to say? And that's already saying nothing, because they're like mid.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't. They aren't mid. Say what they are. Say what they are.
I think they're mid. I genuinely think they're in the middle.
Of what? Contenders.
NA. No, I believe that I've talked to people by Admiral. They seem very high on him. I've seen Provide play. I was quite impressed. I do think that this, in a vacuum, if it was just to support the league, right? I think this team, this duo is mid. However, they have to backpack, a whole, London roster, and that takes them down.
I'm gonna make him do it, Avril. He's got to at least now say like 6 worst backlines.
You want
me to give you 6? All right, hold on. Let me see what I can give you. I think they're better than the Mayhem. I 100%
sure. One.
I think they are better than the Houston Outlaws. I believe that wholeheartedly.
I am stretching. Yeah.
I think they can be competitive with the Titans. I think they can be competitive with Paris.
Okay, we're stretching.
The New York Excelsior have 2 flex supports.
Why is that bad?
That's 5 at least. It's not that it's bad, but if you're agreeable to Houston having Iris and Lastra, right, we're both good flex supports.
Yeah.
But I don't trust either of them to be able to play something like as mechanically difficult, and it sounds weirdly saying this, like I don't know what Lucio looks like. I'm guessing he's probably amongst the same character as we know him to be.
My man,
I don't like putting a flex support in a weird.
It's because like Gordon Ramsay putting the 2 breads behind you right now. It's like, say what you are. Say what you are.
He's trying.
Listen, I'm not saying London's gonna be good. I'm not saying London's good. I'm not saying. I'm just arguing for the support line. I think they're mid.
Yeah.
London as a team, not mid.
Right.
Simple as.
I'm still only counting 5, but right.
Sure, I'll give you 5. I couldn't give you 6. I can give you 5.
And I think 3 of those are stretcherinos. But okay.
Oh,
Okay.
some of them.
Let's see.
Some of them are.
Let's see.
An idiot sandwich, huh? Okay.
Someone clip this and just like fast forward us to November this year, and let's see how that held up.
Ah, man. I don't know what to think either.
It's tough.
When you're now, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, yeah, I think the DPS tanks and supports in Paris are better, just overall.
Yeah.
They're just all better. Like, my God, it's like the closest team, the closest rivalry, closest team in terms of like maybe even skill. And Paris just have potentially a better player in all positions, potentially. And that's even me saying like, oh, maybe I prefer Vistola over Poco, and that sounds crazy enough as it is. You know, but Dritra and Khan, they did some good shit.
Good.
I mean, some really damn good shit. I don't know, but I just don't. Again, provide an admiral exists in the you know, some sort of black hole in my mind where I just don't. I don't know. It's just a blind spot for me, total blind spot. So,
I mean, let's be honest. Like, the problem is here, like, you gotta build a team and shuttle it to NA from a region that is the metaphorical equivalent of like trying to source talent from a puddle of partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. Like, come on, man. This shit is so starved. Like,
so my question is,
yeah,
is this the best they could do in terms of European roster? Because is it just Europe's fault? Is it just Europe just being shit? Europe just too bad. There's not enough good players in Europe, and that's just
I mean, you could sell your roster, your franchise slot, and get Kevster. That's like you can.
Sick! I can have one player.
Okay. We'll say it this way: Master, Funny, Astro, Kevster are definitely better EU players. Shockwave's a better EU player.
Yeah, sure. I don't think that they could compete with those offers though, and those are people chasing offers.
Yeah.
I'm
blanking so nasty on this team.
So I mean, is it not a case of just like
I have to feign ignorance to answer your question.
When you're limited to EU, are you just not screwed by default?
In some ways, I think it's limiting. I have to hand wave and hop on the fence here. I don't know enough about EU to say whether or not like Backbone was good enough, or if Hadi like had any kind of challenging opponents at main tank that could compete. I think Poco's a great pickup. I like the support line. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest. I think it really comes down to Backbone and if he's any good.
Okay, let me ask a very unfair question. Just because I have to counterweight this Weasley little bullshitter here and put him on the spot. Your Poco, your career might be on the line this year in order to... Do you go to Paris or London?
Do I go to Paris or London? I think, as unfair as it is to say, like, probably Paris. Yeah. But I don't know if I got an offer from Paris, you know, assuming I did.
He did.
Yeah,
Public,
but there again, like there's a Christopher, like there's a connection there. You believe in that system. Like it's a tough decision. That's not easy. You don't know anybody in Paris. Maybe you know Dredro. I don't know.
No, like Poco definitely got an offer from Avala. Like,
yes,
I remember that was actually in an interview I did, and it's like it's like basically the way she proposed to Poco to come to Paris was like the Coney Island guy, you know. Hey, Ariana Grande, come to Coney Island. I miss you. Like, yeah, no.
The TikTok.
The choice was there. I'm sure there might have been, like, I think if you go to Jack and go like, this guy's very popular, can you get him a popular bonus? That's probably a possibility that he had a better contract offer while also being able to maintain or being there with Chris, which is, you know, another big thing. But like, It's not by much. I think like it's not an unreasonable position for Poco to just go with the Spitfire, all things considered, and just you know, I don't think it makes it's a big difference, but I think there's a couple of percentage points where I'm thinking I'm more likely to go into I'm going to have a career next year if I stick with the Paris Eternal, just also because of the regionality stuff and whatnot. You could become like an audience hero there.
Face.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, I see it both ways, though. I mean, you got a good relationship with Christopher. He's still there next year. You could stay. I mean, a lot of things are going to happen. I think the Christopher link is really strong for Poco. So I think for him, it makes a lot of sense to go to Spitfire because the Christopher link is, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the biggest part of it. Well, and whatever the contract looks like. Because I know, obviously, Paris didn't offer him a lot. But, you know, for some players, any offer is good. But I don't know, like... For Poco, where he didn't get to play for a whole year, to I don't know, get something on a Western roster, this stuff. I think London could punch above their weight, but it's just on paper they just look like weak in all respects, and then they don't even have that like crazy Gumba buff where like he's just got a proven track record of, you know, making these underdog teams really good.
I think Chris as head coach is a question mark, which I'm willing to entertain as an option because we know him to be very cerebral in his role and like just a people person, just like someone that has knowledge about like the psychological makeup and the atmosphere of a team. I think he won't mess up there, but it's definitely a question mark. And honestly, he has his work cut out of him for him as like the first head coach position. Yes, it's like a regional thing, and he gets to be the head coach of a British team, but like this is not the easiest situation to be put in.
Oh, totally.
Man, 100%. if only there were more to, you know, scowl from for EU. Just EU is just such an unfortunate place for Overwatch because there's just very little link to the Overwatch League. And yeah, I know London and Paris exist, but no one the fact that they're playing out of NA instead of EU, obviously ping's a big issue there, but you know, you don't have a strong base for EU to develop EU. This is not like League of Legends where LEC is amazing.
Yeah.
I think the European talent could be there. It's just not well fostered in a game like Overwatch at all, sadly. So
I mean there's decent talent from Europe peppered across the league. Like you have Funny Astro, you have Cavster,
just shallow.
But it's not.
There's a pool,
and you can't compete for them. Yeah,
so few and far in between. Like, how crazy is it that you look at NA and there's so many exciting rookies, and you look at EU, it's like, I don't know, doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So, okay, we should wrap into the rankings now and just wrap into like where we think they're going to be. So, I mean, I'll start because I've gone last pretty much every single time, so I'll go first this time.
Okay.
Yeah, they are in the. Let me have a look. 10 to 13 range for me. 10 to 13.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Which is bottom four. Bottom four.
That would be exactly where I am as well. I would say bottom 4, and I feel like strongly about that.
Yeah, no, I don't hate bottom 4. I would even say bottom 3. And if they outperform that, it's going to be. You have to consider it a success given the circumstances they're in.
I mean. The bar was set pretty low last year, so if they do much better than that, I think they've done well. And I think they will do better than that. You have 24 games instead of 16.
Right.
Way more chances of, and you've got a better roster than you had last year, hypothetically. And who knows? Maybe they could beat Paris because Paris have mostly pretty much the same team plus Glister. Sure. Just Paris did a reasonable job of punching above their weight last season. That's why just feels better looking and talking about Paris.
Does it not feel suspect to you guys that like basically 0 teams in NA feel like they have significantly changed power level? That is like I'm currently like I'm having like visions of me bullshitting like based on maybe there's a bias in me that's just like I'm going to start measuring by last season and then like extrapolate how the changes have moved everyone. But I feel like I don't think if anything, the team that probably that doesn't make sense. They were the best regular season team, I guess, in shock. In NA, but like, I don't know if the team has really significantly changed, dude. I don't think Titans yet, like by comparison, Titans is a better roster than last year. Then compared, like relatively speaking, probably not. Same for London.
Well, everybody else is. I mean, maybe Mayhem have a worse roster, but everybody else has equal or better roster in a lot of respects. So
that's true, but in relative sense, right?
This is a super competitive game, and certain teams. I mean, budget comes into factor at the end of the day, and teams with bigger budgets are gonna get and hold on to more successful players.
Yep.
So we can talk about Kevster and how he's like the shining star of EU, but no European teams are ever going to see him.
Yes.
No European team will ever see this guy on their team. So is what it is.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So not a great outlook for London, but I think positive compared to last year. But even then,
yes.
Take with that what you will, hoping for the best,
but
preparing for the worst.
Keep in mind, we are comparing the actual performance of London against the hypothetical performance of London. Last year, when you thought about British Hurricane and what they could achieve, the theoretical was a higher upside than this team has theoretically now.
Sure.
Yeah, but the ping difference, I think, was a pretty big factor.
Sure. Fair.
So that's the bone I'll throw them.
Yes.
Now they're in a team house, they have ping, like all of that should help. So again, as we wrap up for London, not the best of prospects, but can remain hopeful. I think Christopher's a good coach.
Yes.
And maybe he can lead the team to success. That's going to be our London Spitfire preview. As we move on now, I'm going to change my background.